gun. Pain. Oh! Not a one-shot, literally unwatchable. What were you saying? What'd you say? Yo guys, what is up? Max here in an Outriders video, and today we're going over my one-shot firepower Trickster build. Now this is a build that I've kind of been running ever since the very beginning of Outriders, and it felt pretty bad at Worldslayer, but they recently buffed a ton of firepower like skills and nodes and talents, and I wanted to go try them out and see if it was good, and it's actually crazy now. It's so good. We do absurd damage. Note that I'm only at Apocalypse tier 28, and my highest damage that I've hit so far is 740 million. So if this gets to Apocalypse 30, Apocalypse 35, Apocalypse 40, you will easily be hitting enemies in the billions of damage with a single shot. It's absolutely crazy, and this build is genuinely so fun to run. I hope you guys enjoy the video. Let's get right into it. So we're going to start with the build overview, and then we'll get into the gear specifics and then the skill tree specifics. But core of this build is hit an enemy as hard as we possibly can with this single shot of our shotgun. Just shooting an enemy with our shotgun, I've hit for 200 mil on a single shot on a crit, and then we're going to be sharing that damage with enemies that are around that enemy. So we are taking advantage of the node Meticulous Schemer. 200% of killing damage on enemies tagged with the Deception skill is divided amongst other tagged enemies. Now this counts for Venator's Knife. Venator's Knife is a skill that you throw and it marks enemies, and marked enemies are going to take double damage from the first instance of damage. And so the goal is to throw our Venator's Knife at an ad or an enemy, shoot them, overkill them like crazy, and then 200% of that killing damage is going to be transferred. That's going to be doubled. That's going to reapply our multipliers and hit things for a crazy amount of damage. We've hit easily over 700 mil on the damage share, and just on a single target aiming and pointing at them with this build, I've hit over 200 mil on a single headshot, and that is Apocalypse 28. This will get easily like way more damage once you get into the higher Apocalypse tiers, which I cannot wait for. But yeah, that's kind of the overview of the build. So now let's break down our gear, and the set bonus that we are using is the set of the Terminal Velocity. This just got pretty heavily buffed, and this set reads: activating movement skills, rolling, sprinting, and having borrowed time active during combat generates anomaly velocity that boosts your weapon damage up to 80% and decays over time. Additionally, we get Phantom Dash for free. So with this set, you're going to be wanting to constantly be activating your movement skills and dashing around, which is going to be keeping up our huge damage buff. Now, originally I tried this set with the borrowed time mods, which it rolls with by default, and I found it to be simply worse than rolling with Twisted Rounds, Venator's Knife, and Hunt the Prey. So we're going to be rolling off all of the borrowed time mods and rocking the 3-piece bonus. Now, ideally, you'd probably be rocking the helmet, the chest piece, and the pants, or the boots, the pants, and the helmet. The chest piece doesn't roll with super great mods. The helmet does typically. I just haven't found a helmet with a good tier 3 mod. Right now the best one I've got is Geiger's Wave, which does vulnerable with time rift, so that's a dead mod. I actually got this. This is the first like actually good rolled purple I've gotten on any of my characters in all my time playing Outriders. So pretty cool that I actually got a good rolled purple. But this has got Captain Hunter and Strong Twist. Captain Hunter and Strong Twist are both must-have mods. Bloodlust is here. I wouldn't mod Bloodlust onto your build, but it is more firepower, so we've got that. So that's our helmet, and the stats you're going to be looking for are firepower, cooldown, and close range damage. Those are the most important stats for this build. For the chest piece, I actually kind of messed up. I've got Stare into the Barrel and Arms and Anomaly. Stare into the Barrel is solid for this. Arms and Anomaly is pretty great for snapshotting. Now, what snapshotting means is when we activate Twisted Rounds, it's going to activate the skill with our current anomaly power, and we're going to benefit from that. So but before you activate Twisted Rounds, you're going to want to crit something in the head. This is going to basically, at where I'm at right now, basically double my anomaly power, which is a big boost, and it's also going to keep that anomaly power and that buff up for as long as I'm using Twisted Rounds, which is forever. We have no issues upkeeping Twisted Rounds with this setup. The reason I say I messed up with this chest piece is because it at default rolls crit stack, and I guess I just wasn't paying attention, and I rolled crit stack off and kept on decontamination, which is a little bit of survivability, but I would definitely keep crit stack at base on this. And that's why I say the chest piece isn't like the best piece, because it doesn't roll with cooldown, and those both mods are pretty meh. I've got the terminal velocity pants on. This has got radiation jump by default. That's really great. Vulnerable is a multiplier for us. Trickster doesn't get to use a lot of multipliers as opposed to some of the other classes, so we'll take all the multipliers we can get. I put Skull Piercer on here because critical damage is something that we're going to be focusing on. We're going to want to crit things. You're going to want to aim at people's heads to do the absolute most damage. If you can shoot an enemy from behind and in the head, that is where you'll hit your highest damage numbers. But this rolled ammo bargain. It's very weird. Currently, I am not using the mod Instant Reload. Instant Reload is way better. You're only going to need one of these mods. I would strongly suggest using Instant Reload over ammo bargain. I currently can't fit it on my setup, but it's funny that this skill gives me ammo back whenever I kill something, and there actually isn't anything that we don't one-shot. If we do our full rotation, we'll one-shot everything, and I kill bosses in about 5 shots with this shotgun if I'm not using my like damage share shenanigans. So ammo bargain's been fine, but I wouldn't recommend it. Next up, I strongly recommend using the Shield Beast gloves. The reason for them is because they default roll Cut Them Deep. This is the most important Venator's Knife mod that we can rock because it's going to give us a ginormous multiplier against elites, and it will like double dip in this multiplier when we've got 2 elites. So for example, in some of the clips that you saw, I am shooting an elite which is marked with Venator's Knife, which will be indicated by it being red, which I'll get a 30% damage, I'll do 30% more damage. Now that 30% more damage is going to be transferred, so I'm going to deal more damage to my initial target, which will then transfer, but if the enemy that's transferred is also an elite, it'll also get that 30% multiplier again. This double dips, which can hit for some crazy damage. And I've got Personal Space and Anomaly Echo. All of these are top priority mods. Anomaly Echo, you're going to want to make sure that you snapshot with, and Personal Space and Cut Them Deep are both really good. Personal Space being the least important here, but just make sure that you have those. Next up, we've got Kingslayer on our boots. I'm using the boots which roll default with Buckshot Shells, which is awesome. I've got Sharp Eye, Kingslayer, and Buckshot Shells. As you can note, I'm not using any defense mods currently. This build is a little bit squishy without defense mods. You're not going to want to being out in like the complete open, getting shot by enemies at long range, but we've got a ton of movement and we one-shot everything, so just be fast, hit headshots, and try not to get caught out too far in the open, and you'll be fine. If you want to put on like a damage mitigation or a damage absorber kind of mod, if you're feeling squishy, you can totally do that, but it definitely doesn't need it. Next up for our shotguns, I've got 2 shotguns that I like to rock. Now, I think a God rolled purple shotgun would be the like best thing. Anomaly, what's it called? Anomaly enhancement would be very nice as a roll on a weapon. I don't have that, but what I do have is 2 different shotguns that I really like using. Now, I've got transmog on these, so they don't look like what they normally do, but this is the Anomaly Effigy. The Anomaly Effigy rolls at base concentration blast. Critical shots cause enemies to explode, dealing a bunch of damage multiplied by the enemies around you. I've got Dark Sacrifice, which is going to give us that 35% weapon damage bonus, and then this rolled with Grand Opening. Landing a hit with the first bullet in a magazine creates a powerful explosion, dealing 1 million damage in a 5-meter radius. This is my mobbing shotgun. If I've like for the first room in Target with all the ads that come at you with like the frozen knives, this is what I will use because it clears out enemies really fast, especially with our Venator's damage share. And every Grand Opening is going to proc every single shot because every single shot I'm getting my ammo bargain, I'm getting my first round back, and we one-shot everything. So this is a really nice roll. Grand Opening is great. If you don't get Grand Opening on your Anomaly Effigy and you get Dark Sacrifice to roll, you can put Grand Opening on it. Fortress is good. Killing Spree is good if you're going to use this as a mobbing weapon. My other weapon that I like using for hitting my biggest numbers is my Enoch's Blessing. This has got this base rolls with crit damage close range. That's kind of why we use these two shotguns, is because they base roll with crit damage close range. But this one has got Gravedigger's Frenzy. Critical shots increase your critical damage by 30%. You'll see me sometimes try to crit an enemy before going for my big damage shot without Twisted Rounds active, so I can proc this. This is not like the most ideal thing, but it is an easy roll to get. You could also use like a guillotine, but this rolls, I got this with Killing Spree and Dark Sacrifice, so it's a lot of damage. We're getting a lot of weapon damage on this thing and a lot of crit damage, which is what we're going to want. Next up for our skills, I'm using Venator's Knife, Twisted Rounds, and Hunt the Prey. We are on some ridiculously low cooldowns, which is awesome for spamming our abilities, and that's also going to keep us alive. You're going to want to be spamming your abilities, and you're going to want to have low cooldowns on these to keep you alive and keep up all of your damage. Then for the skill tree, I'm rocking the classic skill tree that I've basically been using since Outriders launched. We're using close range damage, as much close range damage. All of these nodes just got buffed. These used to be like 8% weapon damage. They basically got doubled. So we're getting tons and tons of weapon damage in this tree with shotgun damage, crit damage, more damage, weapon damage, more weapon damage, damage from behind. Everything here is pretty mandatory. I will say there is one optional node, Equilibrium. This decreases your cooldown of your movement skills. I like zipping around a lot, so this is fine for me. You could, if you wanted to even more min-max your damage a little bit, throw this into Anomaly Power, but it's totally not necessary. I did mess around going with Counter Shield and also Combat Shield Timeline to buff up our Anomaly Power and snapshot that. I found that I was one-shotting things regardless, and I find this to be a little bit more comfier to play around, especially with the mag size bonus and the damage against elites. So I like this setup. I like this setup a lot. And then for our packs tree, what I said about spamming our abilities, every time we activate a deception skill, we're going to get shield. So we're going to want to be spamming our deception. Our Venators is on like a 3-second cooldown, so we're always going to be keeping our shield up. And then, once again, Goals Beyond Understanding and Meticulous Schemer. Now, one thing to note that can go crazy with this build on damage is you can actually double proc goals. So let's say you have an elite that is next to another elite that's tagged with a deception skill. You can proc goals on the initial enemy, the ad, let's say next to the boss, that will give you 200% damage. That damage share will go through Meticulous Schemer, and that damage that is done, that 200% killing damage, has a chance to proc goals again. And this does happen. I've seen it happen. That 741 mil that I hit was probably a double goals proc, and you can see some absolutely absurd damage numbers with this setup, which is a ton of fun. And lastly, for my Ascension, I recommend picking up cooldown as soon as possible. If you do not have cooldown, cooldown is very, very important on this build to spam our abilities. Weapon damage, close range damage, anomaly damage bonus, increased damage against elites, and anomaly power are kind of where I've spec'd my points. I don't have anything else, but yes, go for weapon damage, cooldown, damage against elites is all very nice. This build works great in groups and in solo. Solo, you can one-shot everything for yourself. If you're playing in groups, having someone that has any sort of debuffs, Techno's got debuffs, Pyro's got debuffs, Devastator's got debuffs, you can do some even crazier damage. I actually didn't really play too much in groups just because I wanted to make sure that this build was super solo viable, which it absolutely is. And yeah, guys, that is going to do it for the video. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something new. I will catch y'all in the next one. If you guys enjoyed this build video and you want to see more Outriders build videos, I really appreciate you dropping a like. It helps me out a ton, seriously, with getting these videos. So yeah, I will catch y'all in the next one, guys. Take care. Peace.